Patricia, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on the Inspire and Connect East Africa set. I hope you're having a good day so far.
I'm very, very happy. Beautiful set, Salim. I mean, who'd have thought we could create a beautiful set like this here?
This is the beauty of BPI.
Yeah,
Patricia, you run, I mean, pretty much the largest advertising agency on the continent.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, how is this different from the traditional way? How is the world changed with digital? How are brands communicating differently in a new era of social media platforms, of people not watching television, not really reading newspapers? How have you had to adapt your industry?
Incredibly. You know, I keep saying that, we're going to start saying that we have to have technology meeting creativity. When we look even, and I'll speak to a point before I even go into the general market, our agency now, where we're seeing the biggest growth is actually in the digital space, where we're seeing when the technology stuff that we're creating in order to drive that, because the world is completely changing. So in the past, we used to do big campaigns. You must remember those days. Big theme, holistic campaign with mountains and rivers, and it was 3 minutes long. Let me tell you, nobody has 3 minutes these days to watch or listen to anything. It has to be short, it has to be impactful, and it has to be in a medium where I can absorb it in the right time. So the biggest change is this digital and what is going on. And when I shared a statistic this morning on the main stage, that when we look in this year actually, the digital economy is going to represent about 10%, 9.5% of our GDP. You start to see where everything is moving to. So the changes are very simple. Attention spans are shorter. Sources of getting information and everything are a dime a dozen. We are now spending a lot more time somewhere in the ethereal space, you know. Conversations don't happen, right? In fact, having this physical one-to-one, you know, it doesn't happen. We always do it behind a screen. So that means we have to change completely how we communicate, the things we do, how we do them, so that we continue to capture the attention and communicate the message. So that, I can assure you, is going to be the biggest change that's happening now.
Maybe a slightly controversial question.
Yes.
Why do we need advertising agencies now if people are creating their own content and pushing, influencers are pushing brands? Why does a Coca-Cola or East African breweries need an advertising agency rather than just picking up a couple of influencers?
Because whatever you say, the fact is there's still a strategic element. Remember, what is being pushed by an influencer, or whether you do something digitally, is a point in time. How does it build the longevity of that brand and its connection and what it stands for? So I think the role of advertising is going to be from that perspective. They're going to be the ones who continue to put together the strategy of what you want to be, the vision of who you want to be. Because remember, they're the ones who are also going to sew together all those dots of those influencers. Influencer, where you're going to speak about Coke, right? What does Coke want to be sharing? What do they want to stand for? Otherwise, those same influencers will say whatever they want. And then before you know it, you have a brand which is creating tons of dissonance. So I think the strategic part is going to be a fundamental part that the agency will continue to support. That's sewing everything together when you want to build a brand and build a vision and build a cohesive message as for what you stand for.
Have you had to change the way you do storytelling? Earlier on you said, you know, attention spans are smaller, you know, campaigns are so... Have you had to hire different people that...
In fact, part of the transformation that I've done with all the changes and all the reorganization is trying to see if we can infuse ourselves with different mindsets, people who are, you know, embracing or who are living the new. In fact, when I was watching the Gen Z thing in Kenya a few months ago, I kept saying I wish I could hire all those young people who are creating that stuff, because you start to see the way minds work, the pace and the speed. Gone are the days, Salim, you'd remember, where you have big theme, I think, I go. No, you have to say, this is the idea I want. How do I produce it as creatively and as cohesively and everything else? So yes, we're changing a lot. We're also having to look at what are the technology products that we can create which allow us to do better return on investment, better targeting, better measurement of what we do, and that is why we're making quite a few investments in spaces like that. We recently launched one called Obrio, which is going to give you, as a client or somebody, the ability to measure all these things that are being said about this brand everywhere. Are they giving me a return on investment? How many clicks? That is going to be more the future.
And are you looking at also changing your clientele? Because maybe there's a lot more smaller companies that would, want to do things with you, but this image of this WPP, and they're too big for me, and I can't afford them.
You're preaching to the converted. Watch this space. I've actually literally just presented a business case of saying that if we want to survive, we can have the big regional agency, but we also need a small, because actually 60% of the market we will never be able to serve with our structures. And look at what AI can do for us. The efficiencies it gives, the fact that it can bring your costs down so that you're able to still deliver that. And then having a back office which will still deliver the support, the prompts, the everything else. That is where we have to go if we're to survive.
Patricia, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate you coming on set, and we hope you continue to inspire and connect the whole day.
Thank you so much, Salim. Bye-bye.